Welcome to Ornoth's Bedtime Stories. Tonight's story, Ornoth and the Great Cloud-Shaping Competition, written by Ornoth the Dragon and read by Ornoth the Dragon. On the 21st of May, if you happen to be outside at the right place and look up at the sky, you might just see in the clouds the castles and animals and other things that silver dragons make for the great cloud-shaping competition. This is the one day each year when silver dragons from all over the world come to see who can make the best work of art out of the clouds. This was Ornoth's favorite event because he wanted to participate. But getting that high up in the sky was a big challenge for a little dragon. So to meet this challenge, Ornoth set aside one day each week to fly up to the clouds. He found that this was much easier in the summer when the air was warm than in the winter when the air was thin even on the ground. When Ornoth reached the clouds each week, he spent much of the rest of the day practicing making the first cloud he could land on into a work of art. Sometimes it was a castle, sometimes it was a cow, but it was always a lot of work and a lot of fun. According to the rules for the great cloud-shaping competition, if Ornoth wanted to participate, he would need to make his cloud art all by himself, or share the credit with any others that helped him to make his art for the contest. Everyone who participates gets a tapestry of the history of the silver dragons, and the winners get an artifact from an ancient civilization. Ornoth had planned out his work of art all year. He was so excited for the competition and his first opportunity to compete that he flew up to the clouds on May 20th to wait for it to start. Since all the silver dragons have the magic ability to walk on clouds, Ornoth played around hopping from cloud to cloud all day, and at the end of the day, he ended up falling asleep on the cloud he had chosen to shape for the competition. The next day, Ornoth woke up before the sunrise and waited for the other silver dragons to arrive. He did not need to wait long. With the dawn came a flight of silver dragons to start the great cloud-shaping competition. Each dragon chose a cloud and started to make their creations. Sunrise was the start of the competition, and by sundown, each dragon had to be finished. Ornoth looked up at a great big lump in his little cloud and pounced on it, beginning to pull here and tuck there. All day long he shaped and sculpted. Like many of the other dragons, Ornoth had the general shape of the cloud done quickly. But then he took a long time to sculpt the details and make it as realistic as he could. However, one thing that Ornoth did that no other dragon did was to make within his little cloud a box shape that would be able to hold solid objects, and added a door to it so that he could close the box. When the dragon in charge came by to see how he was coming along, Ornoth asked if his sculpture could be judged after it was dark. The dragon nodded that he would, and then continued to check on the rest of the contestants while Ornoth finished his cloud. Once he had finished, Ornoth began to wander from cloud to cloud with other young silver dragons to see what others had been working on. Most of the contestants were adults, but a few were younger dragons, though Ornoth was by far the youngest. The largest was the first that Ornoth wanted to see. It was the size of a mountain and was shaped into a replica of a North American Indian cliff village. The village was so detailed that if it wasn't cloud white, Ornoth would not have been able to tell it from a real mountain. There was even depictions of the people themselves doing everyday tasks. And as Ornath looked inside, he was not disappointed to see that the interior was every bit as detailed as the outside. The dragon who had made this masterpiece was still working on the edge of the city as the sun hung low in the sky. Ornath had lots of clouds to visit, though, so he hurried on to the next one. The next cloud was a sculpture much smaller, though no less impressive to Ornath. It was an octopus holding a bottle that had a genie rising out of it. Ornath continued. There was a cloud depicting an ocean scene where a ship was fighting a powerful storm, while a massive shark was swimming up from the depths toward the ship. Scary as this seemed to Ornath, he could not help but be in awe. The shark was in the middle of the rest of the cloud, and though it could be clearly seen in great detail, so too could the cloud around it. Next, Ornath looked at a cloud he found very confusing. This cloud was being worked on by a very old dragon. She smiled at Ornath and the other little dragons as they watched her work. She had turned her cloud into a large canvas, but it was blank and seemed to have nothing on it. Ornath asked her why she had not put a picture of some kind onto the canvas. But she responded that at sunset, when the sculptures were going to be judged, the sun would paint a picture for her. Ornath was not sure just how that would work, but he was excited to see. Eventually, Ornath got through looking at all the sculptures and returned to his own as the sun started to set. When this happened, the sun painted the clouds, and the white turned shades of orange and pink. The largest sculpture suddenly looked so lifelike that it was as if the mountain was actually made of rock instead of clouds. The most breathtaking of all the cloud sculptures, though, was the canvas. For as the sun began to set and the colors of the sky began to change, the canvas also began to change. Instead of the canvas mirroring the sunset as the other clouds did, it showed a brilliant and vibrant picture of the forest and mountains illuminated by a glorious sunrise. And the most spectacular part was that as the sun continued to set, on the canvas the sun rose into the sky above the forest. When at last the sun had set, the dragon in charge came back to Ornath's sculpture to finish judging it. Ornath opened the little door on the side of his cloud, and then reached into the pouch on his tummy and took out his little glow-in-the-dark fish toy, Finnegan. He put the toy inside the box and closed it, then stepped back. The whole cloud lit up in a soft blue-green glow, and the whole thing was a large replica of the smaller toy within. Ornath had made a glow-in-the-dark fish cloud. For the first time, the great cloud-shaping competition had a nighttime entry, and the winner was chosen after the sun had set instead of when it was setting. Ornath was proud of his accomplishment. When he got home the next day, his family helped him to hang up his new tapestry in his room, while he told them about the wonderful competition he had been a part of, and how he would try again next year to win the artifact. The end.